You need to disappear, just for an hour, maybe just for a few minutes. But there are no walls, no doors, no lock to turn, no room to slip into. You are a woman who lived 100,000 years ago, and right now, in every direction, there are eyes. Your whole world is one open camp. 40 people who know your face, your voice, your footsteps. They sleep close enough to hear you breathe. And yet, somehow, you found ways to be alone. How? It is a strange thing to wonder about. We almost never do. Privacy feels like air to us now, always there, easy to reach, a door away. But for nearly the entire human story, the kind of privacy you take for granted simply did not exist. And no one needed it more than women. Think about why. A man in your tribe could step behind a bush and be done. But a woman's body kept its own calendar. It bled, it swelled, and gave birth. It fed a newborn for years. These were not quick, hidden moments. They were long, vulnerable, impossible to disguise. And they returned again and again across a lifetime. So the question is not really whether ancient women wanted privacy. Of course they did. The question is how they carved it out of a world that had nowhere to hide. The answer starts with the most predictable secret of all. Once a month, like clockwork, you would vanish. In tribe after tribe, across continents that never spoke to one another, the same pattern appears. A separate place, a small shelter, a marked edge of camp, a hut at the tree line. And when a woman began to bleed, she went there, and the men stayed away. We often hear this story told one way, the shameful way. The woman pushed out, treated as unclean, hidden because her body embarrassed the group. And in some places, at some times, that was the cruel truth of it. But look closer, and a second story appears. Because in many of these societies, that little hut was not a punishment. It was the one piece of ground where men were forbidden to go. Imagine that for a moment. You spend your whole life surrounded, cooking beside others, sleeping in a tangle of bodies, raising children in full view of everyone. There is no day off. There is no door you can close on the noise. And then, once a month, custom hands you one. For a few days, you are not expected to gather, to haul water, to chase a toddler from the fire. You sit with the other women who are bleeding alongside you. You rest. You talk. You sleep when your body asks for sleep. To us, the words set apart sound like exile. To many of the women who lived it, it may have felt like the only true rest a human being could get. And here is the part that changes everything. That hut was not empty. The same women returned to it month after month. The elder who had bled for 30 years. The frightened girl bleeding for the very first time. And in that small, men-free space, something quietly powerful happened. Knowledge moved. Which plants eased the cramping, what a healthy body felt like, and the warning signs of a sick one. How to read the moon against your own rhythm, so you knew, roughly, when a child might come. This was women's medicine, passed mouth to ear in a room no man ever entered. The seclusion that looked like shame from the outside was, on the inside, a school. So the first way ancient women found privacy was simple and brilliant. They did not fight the missing walls. They built a rule instead, one the whole tribe agreed to honor, that turned a patch of bare ground into a space only they could enter. But bleeding was the predictable secret. There was another moment coming, far more dangerous, when a woman needed to be unseen. And this one could not wait for a convenient corner of camp. This one arrived, screaming, in the dark, with her life on the line. When a woman went into labor, she did not give birth in the middle of the group. She left. Sometimes only a short walk to the edge of the trees, Sometimes she was led to a separate shelter built for exactly this. And almost always, the men were gone. Not allowed near, often not even told the details of what was happening. But she was not alone. This is the thing we get wrong when we picture it. We imagine a lone woman suffering in secret, hidden away to spare everyone the mess and the noise. The truth was the opposite. The privacy was a wall around the men and a circle around the women. Inside that circle were the ones who had done this before. The midwife, though she had no such title. The mother, the aunt, the old woman whose hands had caught more babies than anyone could count. They knew how to turn a child the wrong way round. They knew which herbs slowed the bleeding that killed so many new mothers. They knew when to stay calm and when to be afraid. Why hide this from the men? Part of it was danger. A laboring woman cannot run, cannot fight, cannot defend her newborn. Keeping the moment small and quiet and away from the open camp kept her safe from predators drawn by the sound, and from the helpless panic of those who could do nothing useful. But part of it was power. Birth was the one event the whole survival of the tribe depended on, and it happened entirely inside a world the men did not control and were not invited into. Behind that thin wall of privacy, women held the knowledge of life and death itself. And when the baby came, the privacy did not end. It simply changed shape. Because now you had to feed a child, for years, out in the open, every single day. So here is where the final secret lives, and it is the one that explains all the others. Ancient women did not get privacy by being alone. They got it by agreement. Think about how nursing worked in a camp with no walls. There was nowhere to step away to, not really. And yet there was no shame in it, no scramble to hide, because the whole group simply did not treat it as something to stare at. A mother fed her baby beside the fire, in plain sight, and the privacy was this. Nobody made it strange. Eyes slid away. It was ordinary. It was invisible by consent. That is the trick our ancestors mastered that we have almost forgotten. In a world without doors, they built privacy out of manners. You did not need a wall if everyone agreed not to look. You did not need a lock if the whole tribe knew which moments were yours alone. Where to relieve yourself, when to turn your back, what not to watch, what not to ask. These unspoken rules did the work that brick and timber do for us now. Privacy was not a place. It was a promise, kept by everyone every day. And the women's hut, the birth shelter, the quiet space at the tree line, these were the same promise, made solid. Not exile, not shame. A pocket of the world the group agreed to leave unwatched so that the most vulnerable, most powerful moments of a woman's life could happen unseen. Now think about your own life for a second. The bathroom door you lock without thinking, the bedroom you close, the phone you turn face down. You believe that privacy is something you own, a space you can buy, a lock you can turn. But it never really was. Your privacy still depends on everyone around you agreeing not to barge in, not to look, not to listen. The walls only work because we all decide to honor them. Strip the walls away, and what's left is exactly what those women had. Trust, manners, and a tribe that knows when to look the other way. You needed to disappear, just for an hour. And 100,000 years ago, a woman with no walls and no door found a way. Not by hiding from her people, but because her people chose, together, not to see.